in the economy. Well, if you lied about taxes on so-called working people and you're breaking manifesto pledges, we don't actually believe anything you're saying about the country.
The appointment of Angela Rayner to a permanent position on the National Security Council looks like a desperate attempt to mend relations between her and Keir Starmer, but it seems to only exacerbate the situation. Most recently, she failed at questions to the Prime Minister. We will leave unanswered all the questions asked to her. Let's figure out what really happened and why this appointment raises so many questions and concerns.
Mr. Speaker, what is the Deputy Prime Minister's definition of working people?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, first of all, let me start by welcoming the honourable gentleman to his new place. Today is our first exchange, Mr. Speaker, since he pushed for a July general election. And if his own side hasn't offered him a peerage, I certainly would have. And Mr. Speaker, the definition of working people are the people that the Tory party have failed for the last 14 years.
A military expert has put forward an extremely disturbing and exciting interpretation of the consequences of early elections in the UK. He suggests that these elections may be the last before the outbreak of a new world war. In this light, the information that appeared in the local media that the government is launching a large-scale campaign to prepare for various emergencies, including nuclear threats, is particularly alarming. According to Coughlin, the interests of Washington and London are to keep potential opponents in a state of violated sovereignty by controlling part of their territory, which is used as a springboard against the metropolis. Coughlin clearly sympathizes with the Conservatives, given their promise to increase military spending to 2.5% of GDP by the end of the term. He believes that the decision to start a major war and end this dangerous course can only be made by the awareness of the customers of the inevitability of their own defeat. From this point of view, we must closely monitor the current dynamics of the opposing sides, because the stakes are too high and our future is at stake.
Well, the Deputy Prime Minister stood on a manifesto promising not to raise taxes on working people. It now appears she can't even define who working people are. So I'll give her another go. There are 5 million small business owners in this country. Are they working people?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know how the shadow Deputy Prime Minister can stand there with a straight face when it was the small businesses, the working people of this country that paid the price of them crashing the economy, sending interest rates scoring. I think he needs to learn his own lesson.
Angela Rayner got a permanent seat on the National Security Council, and this event became a real sensation. According to rumors, the new head of the Prime Minister's administration played a key role in this significant elevation of Rayner's status. But before that, her absence from the list only fueled speculation and rumors that she had been excluded from Downing Street after Labour's victory in the general election.
I think the whole House will have heard the Deputy Prime Minister disregard 5 million hard-working small business owners. These are the publicans, the shopkeepers, the family running a local cafe. None of those count as working people to her. Now, Labour gave a clear commitment not to raise national insurance. The independent IFS have given their view on this. They say that raising employer national insurance is a tax on working people. Even the Chancellor said that raising employer national insurance was a jobs tax that will make each new recruit more expensive and increase the cost to business.
Reeves has decided to take a risk that could jeopardize the financial well-being of the entire country. We all hope that she will cope with this colossal task, otherwise we will face another failure. Reeves is going to amend the UK's debt rules to raise an additional £57 billion for long-term infrastructure projects. Exactly what she vowed not to do during the election. Yes, Labour is going to borrow again, and in the end it will be taxpayers who will pay for it, although Reeves will not dare to admit it. She is going to tell the International Monetary Fund soon that the autumn budget will include a new method of assessing the UK's public debt. In the election programme of the Labour Party, it was stated that Reeves would follow 2 basic rules. First, the current budget should be balanced and everyday expenses should be covered by income. Second, by the 5th year of the economic forecast, the share of public debt in the economy should decrease. But now Reeves seems to be simply ignoring these rules, changing the definition of debt as if it were just a game. How can we trust such maneuvers?
So I think we can take it from that answer that the Deputy Prime Minister doesn't agree with the IFS, and I suppose it shouldn't come as a surprise that she doesn't agree with her Chancellor. But does she agree with this? And I quote, "Working people will pay when employers pass on the hike in national insurance." Mr. Speaker, these are her words. So does she at least agree with herself?
Mr. Speaker, what I'm incredibly proud of is this week this government brought in a new employment bill which will raise the living standards of 10 million workers. Would the Shadow Deputy Prime Minister like to apologise for the hike in taxes, 70-year hike in taxes that he put on working people, the crashing of the economy and the disaster that he...
Rachel Reeves' attempt to collect tax from pension funds could catastrophically hit the standard of living of millions of pensioners. This measure will raise £20 billion, which will be used to compensate employers in the public sector, including our National Health Service and other government departments.
In the economy. Well, if you lied about taxes on so-called working people and you're breaking manifesto pledges, we don't actually believe anything you're saying about the country's finances. So this is a party that the slogan was very clear, Kamal, change Britain. And the public will see it as just the same old deflection of questions, not answering the question. I know from hosting my GB News show, and you know, there's nothing the public hates more than
100%.
Politicians not
Yes.
answering a straight question with a straight answer. The question today was very clear. What is your definition of working people? And she couldn't define it.
Rayner's image could look really impressive if she didn't support every bourgeois fad in the world. It's just incredible. I suspect that her popularity in the Labour Party is due to the fact that she fits perfectly into the idealized image of the middle class, left of what they think a representative of the working class should be. This is simply outrageous. It really pisses me off when she confuses her personal style with social class. This is completely absurd.
Dowden here trying to repeat what Rishi Sunak landed with Keir Starmer 2 weeks ago. This idea that Labour is going to put up employer national insurance contributions. We've again got Labour dancing around this issue. Rayner just sums up really the entire sort of Reeves approach to this. Oh, we can't preempt the budget, we can't comment, we're just going to skirt around this, we're going to...
Businessmen reacted furiously to the refusal of the Ministry of Finance to exclude the possibility of increasing employers' contributions to the National Insurance Fund. The Chancellor and the Prime Minister assure us that this increase will not break Labour's promise to support workers because it is not a direct tax on workers. But this is simply absurd. Raising contributions to the National Insurance Fund is a disastrous idea. This means that business expenses will skyrocket, turning these contributions into an actual tax on companies, regardless of their profitability. At a time when business confidence is already on the verge, when hiring plans are collapsing, and the number of vacancies is rapidly decreasing, this decision will simply destroy employment prospects and reduce income. The government is trying to draw an artificial line between taxes on working people and taxes on businesses, exempting the former from increases in accordance with the manifesto. But this is just a false juxtaposition. Talk of massive tax increases in the upcoming budget calls into question Labour's promises that they put economic growth first. Reeves has no idea how the business works, and therefore does not realise the devastating damage she can cause. Starmer's crazy team is playing with levers they have no clue about, and in the coming years we will all feel the consequences of their economic incompetence. National insurance is a tax on jobs, and therefore on working people. Tax increases will eventually lead to higher prices for consumers, lower wages, and possibly massive job cuts. This is not just a tax, it is a tax with terrible consequences that we will all feel for ourselves. What do you think about this video? You can share your opinion in the comments. See you later.